Hi there. So what I want to talk to you tonight about is marketing resistance and how to get past that really unpleasant and certainly unproductive feeling of not wanting to do your marketing. If you're a business owner or even if you're a professional salesperson, you need to put yourself out there. You need to get your message out to the people who need to hear it. And sometimes you just don't want to do it. And sometimes that's a momentary thing or it lasts for a few days. But for some people, it's like kind of a constant. It's a big problem. And the work that I do with entrepreneurs is called Heal Your Sales Wounds. And it's about the self-limiting beliefs that all of us have about money and about success and about salesmanship that stop us from being able to achieve our goals and get our big work out into the world in a way that's successful. And there are 6 primary sales wounds that I talk about. And tonight we're talking about the visibility wound. That's number 6. It's primary sales wound number 6. And the core belief behind the visibility wound is, I'm not good enough. And that belief shows up on a conscious level often in our business when we are thinking about, doing promotions or making a sales call or raising our prices. Sometimes we actually clearly hear it in our heads. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Why would they pay me? I need to get another certificate. Whatever it is, right? I'm not good enough to do this or to charge this much or to sell to this person or to serve this audience. But sometimes we don't hear it consciously. We don't catch the words, the tape playing in our head. And all we know is that we're not doing it. We aren't succeeding at the things that we want to be doing to put our work out into the world. And there are different sets of self-limiting beliefs that create that. As I said, there are 6 primary sales wounds, but the one I want to talk to you about tonight is the visibility wound, and in particular, because I that's my wound. My primary wound is the visibility wound, and people say, Julia, that's crazy. You're a best-selling author, and you do videos, and you're a speaker. Like, how can you possibly have a visibility wound? Yeah, I do. And because the visibility wound is this resistance, and it's about a push. All of the wounds are about a push-pull. You want something, but you don't want it, or you want something, but you don't want the negative consequences that come from it. The money wound is about wanting money, but kind of being afraid of money. And the selling wound or the anti-selling wound are 2 different wounds at the opposite end of the spectrum about you wanting to sell, but you don't want to sell. So the visibility wound is you want to be seen, but you don't want to be seen. And at the core of it is, I'm not good enough. And there are a lot of ways that core belief of I'm not good enough gets planted in us. When we're little kids, when we're children, when we're teenagers, and often then by the time we get to be young adults and even fully grown adults, that belief gets repeated back to us. We choose relationships. We get ourselves into relationships that hammers back that core belief. Once we've established the belief, I'm not good enough, I'm no good, I'm not worthy, we find evidence to prove to ourselves that it's true. And for my part, I have almost nearly healed my own visibility wound. And I know that I have because I can feel how my emotional response is different to relationships that I have, to my own work, to the act of running a business. I can feel that it's different, and it does still sometimes show up. I still sometimes have a resistance to putting myself out in the world. And this can be a factor for people, whether you are a salesperson or whether you're a politician or whether you're in a not-for-profit, in whatever it is that you're doing that is putting yourself and your work and your ideas out in the world, and you're wanting people to respond to you. You want to attract people. Even if you're an HR director and you're trying to attract candidates for a job, anytime you're trying to put something out that you want other people to respond to, fundamentally that's salesmanship. It's influence and persuasion. And these wounds, these sales wounds that I'm talking about, affect that. And they limit our ability to put our message out into the world and attract back what we want in a powerful, effective way. And so the visibility wound, what I'm talking about tonight, is the belief that I'm not good enough. I can't do this. There's something that's wrong with me. I need to fix something in order to be good enough to do this. And what I discovered for myself, as I started to say, is I realized about myself in the last couple of weeks that I've been in resistance, that I've been wanting to begin a new marketing avenue in my business, and I have been in resistance to it. I've been procrastinating on the surface level. I was like, I'm procrastinating. And what I finally came to realize is this isn't just garden level procrastination. This is a deep resistance. It is a self-limiting belief that's keeping me from putting myself out into the world. And I had to do a deep exploration and figure it out. And I did a meditation and I asked, which part of me is not being heard, which part of me is feeling silenced, right? And I surfaced for myself that it was a conflict with my teenage self. And sparing you all the gory details, what I became aware of is that my teenage self didn't feel very popular. My teenage self didn't feel like, my teenage self wanted to have friends. I wanted to be friends with the cool kids. And my teenage self thought that anything that I ever tried to do to get the cool kids to like me was unsuccessful. And so there was this belief, I'm not good enough. People don't like me. No matter what I try to do, people don't like me. I don't get the response that I want. And that was a deep, hurtful wound that was very painful for me as a 15-year-old. And as much as I like to think that I've healed and I'm no longer the insecure and self-conscious child that I was when I was 15, I recognize that, guess what? The adult me, the powerful, confident, self-possessed adult who is wanting to share the valuable information that I had to share with the world, was being stopped by that 15-year-old who was still hurt and still pissed because people didn't like me, or I perceived that they didn't. I didn't think I was popular in high school. And that may sound silly, and a lot of people I know have, most of us maybe felt as though high school kind of sucked, or junior high, or whatever the period was. And we feel like, oh, now that we're adults, we're over that. We don't play those junior high school games anymore. We don't, mess around with that stuff. And a lot of that may be true. And these are deep wounds. These are deeply held self-limiting beliefs. These are the core of how we define ourselves, the core of how we talk to ourselves about who we are and how we show up in the world. And when things aren't going your way, when you're not producing the results you want, when you're not achieving the outcomes that you want, the reason, I guarantee you, every time, is a self-limiting belief. It's a core self-limiting belief that developed a long time ago and that is still, despite your best efforts, biting you in the ass. So, what do you do about it? The answer is that you become aware of it, and you become consciously aware that the thing that you're trying to accomplish as a successful, confident adult out there in the world is being stymied by the teenage self that is still pissed and angry and acting like an immature brat that your teenage or child or baby, whatever self was. And frankly, that's hard to do. It's hard to surface that understanding. It's hard to catch that. So I actually offer a service, a coaching session. It's a healing coaching session. I call it a Sales Wounds Deep Dive. And it's a 1-hour session, sometimes even 45 minutes, and it's profound. And you can go to my website, juliakline.com, and click on the Products and Services tab and look for the Sales Wounds Deep Dive and read the testimonials of the people who've gone through the Sales Wounds Deep Dive. It is profound. First of all, my ability to identify that sales wound very quickly is very helpful. And then the results. over and over and over again, people who do these sales wounds deep dives have results that same day or within a couple of days, where they were completely stuck and all of a sudden, boom, something shows up. We clear it, we free it, and now they're back into creative, confident, productive flow, and so the more positive outcomes that they want are able to show up. That's how it works, right? You free up the negative, self-limiting beliefs and vibrations, and you're able to attract and bring in what you do want. That's how it works. So I know that it sounds a little bit crazy. A lot of people that you want to kind of dismiss it out of hand. That I'm over that. Sales. High school popularity, that doesn't affect me anymore. That's crazy. Think again. If you're not accomplishing what you want to be accomplishing as an adult, if you are not producing the results that you want to be producing in your adult life, your wounds, your deeply held beliefs, what I call your sales wounds, are very likely the culprit. And they might very well have been caused by something as silly as high school popularity contests. So I look forward to hearing from you. Come visit my website, check out a sales wounds deep dive, and see if I can't heal that for you and get you back to being productive and in your creative flow.